You think you're too old, too young, too broke, or too late to start pursuing what you really want. But every single day, someone with worse circumstances than yours is building the exact life you say is impossible for you. The difference isn't their situation, their background, or their advantages. The difference is they stopped making excuses and started making progress. Let me ask you this: why do most people drift through life like leaves in the wind, going wherever the current takes them, never really arriving anywhere meaningful? I'll tell you why. They're missing 3 essential ingredients for a successful life. No vision, no focus, no progress. It's that simple and it's that profound. You see, life has a way of teaching us lessons, and one of the biggest lessons I've learned is this: if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. Not much at all. I remember meeting a man at the airport several years ago. Nice fellow, well-dressed, seemed intelligent enough. We struck up a conversation during a flight delay, and I asked him what I always ask people: what are you working on? What's your plan? He looked at me with a puzzled expression and said, "Plan? I don't really have a plan. I just take things as they come. Just take things as they come." Can you believe that? Here was a grown man, probably in his 40s, with no more direction than a piece of driftwood floating in the ocean. And the sad part is, he's not alone. Most people live this way. They get up, go to work, come home, watch television, go to bed, and repeat the same routine day after day, year after year, wondering why their lives never seem to improve. But here's what I've discovered after all these years. The formula for a better life isn't complicated. It comes down to 3 things: vision, focus, and progress. Miss any one of these, and you'll find yourself stuck in the same place you were last year, and the year before that, and the year before that. Well, let me tell you something about vision first. Vision is not some mystical pie-in-the-sky concept that only dreamers possess. Vision is simply knowing where you want to go. It's having a clear picture of what you want your life to look like 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It's as practical as having a destination before you start a trip. Would you get in your car and start driving without knowing where you're going? Of course not. That would be ridiculous. Yet that's exactly how most people approach their lives. They start their careers, their relationships, their financial plans without any clear destination in mind. Then they wonder why they never arrive anywhere worthwhile. The truth is, most people are afraid to create a vision for their lives. Why? Because once you have a vision, you become accountable to it. Once you write down what you want, you can no longer make excuses for not having it. Once you get clear about your destination, you have to start making the choices and taking the actions that will get you there. It's easier to drift. It's easier to just react to whatever life throws at you. It's easier to blame circumstances, blame the economy, blame your boss, blame your background, blame everything and everyone except the person who's really responsible for your life, you. But easy doesn't lead to success. Easy doesn't lead to achievement. Easy doesn't lead to a life you can be proud of when you look back on it years from now. I've had the privilege of working with thousands of people over the years, and I can tell you this: every person who's achieved something significant in their life started with a vision. They knew where they wanted to go before they figured out how to get there. But having a vision isn't enough. You also need the second ingredient: focus. Focus is the ability to concentrate your energy, your time, your resources on the things that matter most. It's the discipline to say no to the good so you can say yes to the great. Most people scatter their energy like buckshot. They try to do everything, be everything, have everything all at once. They start projects they never finish. They jump from one opportunity to another without ever giving any single opportunity enough time and attention to produce results. I call this the scattered life syndrome. It's the enemy of achievement. It's the reason why some people work hard their entire lives but never seem to get ahead. They're busy, but they're not productive. They're active, but they're not effective. True focus means making choices. It means deciding what you're going to do And just as importantly, what you're not going to do. It means understanding that you can't be all things to all people. You can't pursue every opportunity that comes your way. You have to choose. And here's what I've learned about choice. Not to choose is still a choice. If you don't consciously choose what to focus on, life will choose for you. And life's choices are usually driven by urgency, not importance. You'll find yourself constantly putting out fires instead of building the life you really want. The third ingredient is progress. Progress is what happens when vision and focus come together in consistent action over time. Progress is measurable movement toward your goals. It's improvement, growth, advancement. It's the proof that your vision and focus are working. But here's the thing about progress. It's not always obvious in the short term. Progress often happens slowly, quietly, almost imperceptibly day by day. It's like watching a tree grow. You can't see it happening from day to day, but over time the change is undeniable. Most people give up on their dreams because they don't see immediate progress. They want instant results in a world where real results take time. They plant seeds on Monday and expect fruit on Friday. When they don't see immediate results, they conclude that their vision is wrong, their focus is misplaced, or their efforts are wasted. This is a huge mistake. Real progress follows what I call the compound effect. Small, consistent actions taken over time produce extraordinary results. But you have to stick with it long enough to see the compound effect work. Think about it this way. If you put a penny in a jar today, 2 pennies tomorrow, 4 pennies the next day, and keep doubling the amount each day, how much money do you think you'd have at the end of 30 days? Most people guess a few $100s, maybe $1,000. The actual answer is over $5 million. That's the power of compounding. That's the power of consistent progress over time. But most people never experience this kind of compounding in their lives because they don't stick with anything long enough. They change direction every time they hit an obstacle. They abandon their vision every time progress seems slow. They lose focus every time something more exciting comes along. The result, no vision, no focus, no progress, and at the end of their lives they look back with regret, wondering what might have been if only they had stayed the course. I don't want that to be your story. I want you to understand that the life you want is possible, but it requires these 3 ingredients working together. Vision gives you direction, focus gives you power, progress gives you results. Without vision, you'll drift. Without focus, you'll scatter your energy and waste your potential. Without progress, you'll become frustrated and give up on your dream. But when you have all 3 working together, something magical happens. Your life starts to move forward with purpose and momentum. You start to see real results. You start to become the person you always knew you could be. The question is, are you ready to stop drifting? Are you ready to stop making excuses? Are you ready to take responsibility for creating the life you really want? Because if you are, then you need to understand that it all starts with vision. You need to get clear about what you want your life to look like. You need to paint a picture of your future that's so compelling, so exciting, so meaningful that it pulls you out of bed every morning, eager to work toward it. This isn't about creating some fantasy that has no basis in reality. This is about getting honest about what's possible for your life and then committing to make it happen. It's about understanding that you have more potential than you're currently using, more talents than you're currently developing, more opportunities than you're currently taking advantage of. But potential without vision is just wishful thinking. Talent without focus is just wasted ability. Opportunity without progress is just a missed chance. You see, life doesn't pay you for what you know. Life pays you for what you do with what you know. And what you do depends entirely on having a clear vision of where you want to go, the focused discipline to stay on track, and the commitment to make consistent progress day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. The time to start is now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Now! Because every day you wait is another day of drifting, another day of scattered energy, another day of missed progress toward the life you really want. Now let me tell you what vision really means in practical terms. Vision isn't some abstract concept that belongs in philosophy books. Vision is as real and as necessary as the blueprint an architect creates before building a house. You wouldn't build a house without a blueprint, would you? Yet most people try to build their lives without any clear plan or vision of what they want to create. Here's the difference between a dream and a vision. Dreams are what you think about when you're lying in bed at night wishing your life was different. Vision is what gets you out of bed in the morning, excited to start working toward making that difference a reality. Dreams are passive, vision is active. Dreams hope, vision plans. Dreams wish, vision works. I've met thousands of people who have dreams. They dream about being wealthy, about being successful, about having better relationships, about living in a beautiful home, about traveling the world. But dreaming without a clear vision is like wanting to go somewhere without knowing the address. You might wander around for years and never arrive at your destination. Vision, on the other hand, gives you coordinates. It tells you exactly where you want to go and helps you figure out how to get there. When you have a clear vision, every decision becomes easier because you can ask yourself, does this move me closer to my vision or further away from it? So how do you develop a personal vision? Let me walk you through the process I've used with successful people all over the world. First, you need to get quiet and get honest with yourself. Most people never take the time to really think about what they want from life. They're too busy reacting to what life gives them to ever stop and consider what they might create for themselves. Find a quiet place where you won't be interrupted, take out a piece of paper and start writing. Don't worry about whether your ideas are realistic or practical at this point. Just write down what you would want your life to look like if you could have it any way you want it. What kind of person do you want to become? What kind of relationships do you want to have? What kind of work do you want to do? Where do you want to live? How do you want to spend your time? What kind of impact do you want to have on others? Write it all down. Be specific. Don't just write, I want to be successful. That's too vague. Success means different things to different people. Instead, write something like, I want to build a business that serves 10,000 customers and generates $2 million in annual revenue while allowing me to work from home and spend quality time with my family. See the difference? One is a wish, the other is a vision. Here's what I've learned about the power of a compelling vision. It acts like an internal GPS system for your life. Just like the GPS in your car recalculates your route when you make a wrong turn, a clear vision helps you get back on track when you get off course. And you will get off course. Everyone does. Life has a way of throwing curveballs, creating detours, putting obstacles in your path. But when you have a clear vision, these setbacks become temporary inconveniences rather than permanent defeats. You know where you're going so you can find another way to get there. Let me tell you about a man I knew who started with nothing but a clear vision. He grew up in poverty, dropped out of school in the 8th grade, and worked minimum wage jobs for the first 20 years of his adult life. But he had a vision. He wanted to own a successful restaurant, not just any restaurant. He had a specific vision. He wanted to create a place where families could come together for great food in a warm, welcoming atmosphere. He wanted to employ 50 people and serve 1,000 customers a week. He wanted to be known in his community as someone who cared about quality and service. That vision sustained him through 15 years of saving money, learning the restaurant business, studying successful restaurant owners, and preparing for his opportunity. When he finally opened his restaurant, it wasn't just another business. It was the fulfillment of a carefully crafted vision. Today, he owns 3 restaurants, employs over 150 people, and is one of the most respected business owners in his city. But it all started with a vision, a clear, specific, compelling picture of what he wanted to create. But here's something important to understand. Your vision has to be yours, not someone else's. Too many people try to live according to other people's visions for their lives. They pursue careers their parents chose for them, or they chase after success that looks good to their friends, or they follow paths that seem safe and acceptable to society. That never works. You can't sustain the effort required to achieve someone else's vision for your life. You might be able to fake it for a while, but eventually the lack of genuine passion and commitment will show up in your results. Your vision has to come from your heart, not your head. It has to be something that excites you, something that makes you come alive, something that you would pursue even if no one else understood or approved. I learned this lesson early in my career when I was trying to build a business because I thought that's what successful people did. I had no real passion for the business, no clear vision of what I wanted to create, no compelling reason to persist when things got difficult. And things did get difficult. Within 2 years, the business failed, and I was worse off than when I started. But that failure taught me something valuable. It taught me the difference between pursuing someone else's definition of success and creating my own vision for what success would look like in my life. When I finally got clear about my own vision, everything changed. I wanted to become someone who could help others improve their lives. I wanted to study success and share what I learned. I wanted to speak to audiences and inspire people to reach for their potential. I wanted to write books and create materials that would make a positive difference in people's lives. That vision has sustained me for decades. It's what gets me up in the morning. It's what keeps me learning and growing. It's what gives meaning and purpose to my work. And here's the beautiful thing about having a clear vision. It attracts the right people and opportunities into your life. When you're clear about where you're going, you start noticing resources that can help you get there. You meet people who share your vision or who have skills you need. You see opportunities that you might have missed when you were just drifting through life without direction. But you have to write it down. This is crucial. A vision that exists only in your head is just a wish. A vision that's written down becomes a plan. There's something powerful that happens when you take the time to write out your vision in detail. Writing forces you to be specific. It makes you think through the details. It helps you identify potential obstacles and opportunities. And once it's written down, you can review it regularly, refine it, and use it to guide your decisions. I recommend that you write your vision as if you're describing your life 5 years from now. Write it in the present tense, as if it's already happening. I am living in a beautiful home that I own free and clear. I am running a successful business that provides excellent service to my customers and allows me to earn a comfortable living. I am in excellent health because I take care of my body through regular exercise and proper nutrition. I have strong, loving relationships with my family and friends. Make it detailed, make it specific, make it compelling, make it yours, and then read it every day. Not just once, but every single day. Read it when you wake up in the morning. Read it before you go to bed at night. Let that vision become so clear, so compelling, so real in your mind that it starts to pull you toward it. Because here's what I've learned. We become what we think about most of the time. If you think about your problems most of the time, you'll have more problems. If you think about your limitations most of the time, you'll be limited. But if you think about your vision most of the time, if you keep that picture of your desired future in front of you consistently, you'll start moving toward it almost automatically. And that's what we're going to talk about next, because vision without focus is like having a destination without a route. You know where you want to go, but you don't know how to get there. And you end up wandering around in circles, making little or no progress toward your goals. The power of vision is real, but it's only the first step. Next comes the discipline of focus, and that's where most people struggle. They have the vision, but they lack the focus to turn that vision into reality. Now let's talk about focus, because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where most people with great visions fall short. They know where they want to go, but they can't seem to channel their energy long enough in one direction to get there. Focus is the bridge between vision and results. It's the concentrated application of your time, energy, and resources toward your most important objectives. Without focus, vision remains nothing more than a beautiful dream. Let me tell you the difference between a scattered mind and a focused mind. A scattered mind is like a flashlight with dying batteries. It gives off a little light in all directions, but it's not bright enough to illuminate anything clearly. A focused mind is like a laser beam. It concentrates all its energy in one direction and can cut through steel. Which kind of mind do you have? Be honest with yourself. Do you jump from project to project, never finishing anything completely? Do you start your day with good intentions but find yourself distracted by emails, phone calls, social media, and a dozen other things that seem urgent but aren't really important? If so, you're not alone. We live in an age of distraction. We carry devices in our pockets that can interrupt us every few minutes with notifications, messages, updates, and alerts. We have more entertainment options than any generation in human history. We have more information available to us than we could consume in 1,000 lifetimes. All of this can be wonderful, but it can also be deadly to your success if you don't learn to manage it. Because success requires focus, and focus requires the discipline to say no to good things so you can say yes to great things. Here's what I've learned about focus over the years. It's not a talent you're born with. It's a skill you develop. It's a discipline you practice. It's a choice you make every single day, every single hour, sometimes every single minute. The first step in developing focus is understanding what focus really means. Focus doesn't mean working harder. Focus means working on the right things. It means identifying the few activities that will have the greatest impact on achieving your vision and then concentrating your efforts on those activities. I call this the 80-20 principle. In most areas of life, 20% of your activities produce 80% of your results. The key to success is identifying that crucial 20% and spending most of your time and energy there. For example, if you're in sales, 20% of your prospects probably account for 80% of your potential income. If you're a business owner, 20% of your customers probably generate 80% of your profits. If you're trying to improve your health, 20% of your habits probably have 80% of the impact on how you feel and look. The question is, do you know what your 20% is? Have you identified the few activities that have the greatest impact on your success? And more importantly, are you spending most of your time on those activities? Most people don't. Most people spend their time on the 80% of activities that produce only 20% of the results. They stay busy, but they don't make progress. They work hard, but they don't work smart. This is where focus becomes crucial. Focus means having the discipline to identify your high-impact activities and then protecting your time so you can concentrate on them. Let me share with you some daily disciplines that will help you develop this kind of focus. First, start each day by identifying your 3 most important tasks. Not 10 tasks, not 5 tasks, but 3. These should be the 3 things that if you accomplish them today would move you significantly closer to your vision. Write them down. Put them at the top of your to-do list. And then here's the key. Do them first. Before you check email, before you return phone calls, before you get caught up in the urgent but unimportant activities that can consume your entire day. I learned this discipline from a very successful businessman who told me, Jim, if you want to be successful, you have to eat the frog first thing in the morning. When I asked him what he meant, he explained, the frog is your most important but least appealing task. If you eat the frog first, everything else in your day will seem easy by comparison. He was right. When you tackle your most important tasks first, when your energy is highest and your willpower is strongest, you almost guarantee that you'll make progress toward your goals every single day. The second discipline is learning to say no. This might be the most important skill you can develop if you want to achieve your vision. Every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Every commitment you make takes time and energy away from other possibilities. Most people say yes too often. They say yes because they want to be helpful. They say yes because they don't want to disappoint people. They say yes because they're afraid of missing out on opportunities. But here's what I've learned. You can't say yes to everything and still say yes to what matters most. You have to choose. And choosing means saying no to good opportunities so you can say yes to great ones. I remember a time in my career when I was invited to speak at conferences almost every weekend. The speaking fees were good, and I enjoyed meeting new people and sharing my message. But I realized that saying yes to every speaking opportunity was preventing me from focusing on writing, which was becoming increasingly important to my long-term vision. So I made a difficult decision. I started saying no to many speaking opportunities, even good ones, so I could protect blocks of time for writing. It was hard at first. I felt like I was turning down money and disappointing people who wanted to hear me speak. But that decision to say no to some good things so I could say yes to something great transformed my career. The books I wrote during those protected hours have now reached millions of people and have had far greater impact than any individual speech ever could. That's the power of focus. That's what happens when you have the discipline to say no to good so you can say yes to great. The third discipline is eliminating distractions. This is more challenging today than it's ever been, but it's also more important than it's ever been. You have to create boundaries around your focus time. Turn off your phone, close your email, find a quiet place where you won't be interrupted. Let people know that during certain hours you're not available for non-emergency interruptions. I know this sounds extreme to some people. They think they need to be available to everyone all the time, but here's the truth. If you're available to everyone all the time, you're not really available to anyone, including yourself. The most successful people I know guard their focus time like they guard their most valuable possessions. Because that's exactly what it is. Your focused attention is your most valuable possession. It's what allows you to create value, solve problems, and make progress toward your goals. The fourth discipline is what I call single tasking. Despite what many people believe, multitasking is not a superpower. It's a productivity killer. When you try to do multiple things at once, you don't do any of them well. Research has shown that what we call multitasking is really task suppering. Your brain can't actually focus on two complex tasks simultaneously. Instead, it rapidly switches back and forth between tasks, and each switch costs you time and mental energy. The alternative is single tasking, focusing completely on one task until it's finished, then moving on to the next task. This approach allows you to work at a deeper level, produce higher quality results, and actually accomplish more in less time. Try this for 1 week. Instead of trying to juggle multiple tasks at once, commit to working on one thing at a time. Give it your complete attention. You'll be amazed at how much more you can accomplish and how much better your work becomes. The fifth discipline is what I call focus blocks. These are specific periods of time that you set aside for your most important work. During focus blocks, you don't check email, answer phones, or allow any interruptions unless there's a genuine emergency. I recommend starting with 90-minute focus blocks. Research suggests that most people can maintain deep concentration for about 90 minutes before needing a break. Schedule these blocks during your peak energy hours and use them for your highest impact activities. If 90 minutes seems too long at first, start with 45-minute blocks and gradually work your way up. The key is consistency. It's better to do 45 minutes of focused work every day than to try for 3 hours once a week. Now here's something important to understand about focus. It gets easier with practice. Just like building physical strength, building mental focus requires consistent exercise. The more you practice concentrating on one thing at a time, the stronger your focus becomes. But you also need to understand that focus is not about perfection. You're going to get distracted. You're going to have days when your mind wanders. You're going to face interruptions and emergencies that break your concentration. That's normal. That's human. The key is not to let temporary lapses in focus become permanent habits. When you notice your attention has wandered, gently bring it back to your chosen task. When an interruption breaks your concentration, return to focused work as soon as possible. Think of focus like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. But if you don't use it regularly, it becomes weak. Most people have allowed their focus muscle to become so weak that they can barely concentrate on anything for more than a few minutes at a time. But the good news is that you can rebuild that muscle. You can develop the kind of laser-like focus that allows you to make rapid progress toward your goals. You can train your mind to stay concentrated on what matters most, even in a world full of distractions. This is crucial because focus is what transforms vision into reality. Vision shows you where you want to go. Focus gives you the power to get there. Without focus, even the most compelling vision remains just a dream. I've seen people with modest visions achieve extraordinary results because they had extraordinary focus. And I've seen people with grand visions accomplish very little because they couldn't focus their efforts long enough to make real progress. Which kind of person are you going to be? Are you going to be someone who has a clear vision but lacks the focus to achieve it? Or are you going to develop the discipline of focus that allows you to turn your vision into reality? Because that's what it takes. It takes the discipline to identify your most important activities and spend most of your time on them. It takes the courage to say no to good opportunities so you can say yes to great ones. It takes the commitment to eliminate distractions and create boundaries around your focus time. Most of all, it takes the understanding that focus is not something that happens to you. Focus is something you choose. Every day, every hour, every moment, you choose where to direct your attention. And those choices, made consistently over time, determine the results you get in life. So choose wisely. Choose to focus on what matters most. Choose to protect your attention like the valuable resource it is. Choose to develop the discipline that will allow you to bridge the gap between vision and results. Because once you have both vision and focus working together, you're ready for the third ingredient, measurable progress. And that's where the magic really happens. Now we come to the third ingredient, progress. This is where vision and focus come together to create something tangible, something real, something you can see and measure and build upon. Progress is proof that your vision is working. Progress is evidence that your focus is paying off. Progress is what keeps you motivated when the journey gets difficult. And believe me, it will get difficult. But here's what most people don't understand about progress. It's not always obvious. Real progress often happens slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, day by day. It's like watching grass grow or a child develop. You can't see it happening moment by moment, but over time, the change is undeniable. The problem is we live in an instant gratification world. We want everything now. We plant seeds on Monday and expect fruit on Friday. When we don't see immediate results, we get discouraged. We start to doubt our vision. We lose our focus. We give up just when we might be on the verge of a breakthrough. That's why you must learn to recognize and measure progress, even when it's not dramatic. You need systems that help you track your movement toward your goals. Systems that help you see progress even when it's happening slowly. Let me tell you how to break down your big vision into measurable steps. Your vision might be to build a successful business, improve your health, strengthen your relationships, or achieve financial independence. These are worthy goals, but they're too big to tackle all at once. You need to break them down into smaller, manageable pieces. If your vision is to build a business that generates $1 million in annual revenue, that might seem overwhelming when you're starting from zero. But break it down into smaller targets. $85,000 per month, about $20,000 per week, roughly $3,000 per day. Suddenly, the impossible becomes possible. You can't build $1 million business overnight, but you might be able to generate $3,000 in revenue in a single day. And if you can do it once, you can do it again and again. And before you know it, those daily achievements add up to something extraordinary. This is the power of what I call incremental progress. Big achievements are really just small achievements repeated consistently over time. The key is to make your daily targets small enough that they're achievable, but significant enough that they add up to something meaningful. Once you've broken down your vision into daily, weekly, and monthly targets, You need to track your progress religiously. What gets measured gets managed. What gets managed gets improved. I recommend doing 3 types of progress reviews. First, do a daily review every evening. Spend 5 minutes looking at what you accomplished that day. Did you hit your daily targets? If not, why not? What can you do differently tomorrow? Second, do a weekly review every Sunday. Look at the bigger picture. Are you on track to hit your weekly goals? What patterns do you notice? What's working well? What needs adjustment? Third, do a monthly review at the end of each month. This is where you step back and look at the trends. Are you making consistent progress toward your long-term vision? Are your daily and weekly activities producing the results you expected? Do you need to adjust your approach or your targets? These reviews serve several important purposes. They help you stay accountable to your goals. They help you identify problems before they become major setbacks. They help you celebrate your wins, even the small ones, and they help you make course corrections when necessary. Speaking of celebrating wins, this is crucial for maintaining momentum. Most people are so focused on what they haven't achieved yet that they forget to acknowledge what they have achieved. This is a mistake. Celebration reinforces positive behavior. It keeps you motivated during difficult periods. Don't wait until you achieve your ultimate vision to celebrate. Celebrate the small wins along the way. When you hit your daily target, acknowledge it. When you complete your weekly goal, reward yourself. When you reach a monthly milestone, take time to appreciate how far you've come. But what about setbacks? What happens when you don't hit your targets? What do you do when progress seems to stop or even reverse? First, understand that setbacks are normal. They're part of the process, not a sign that the process isn't working. Every successful person I've ever known has faced setbacks, failures, and periods when progress seemed impossible. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is not that successful people don't face setbacks. The difference is how they respond to setbacks. Unsuccessful people see setbacks as proof that their vision is unrealistic or their efforts are wasted. Successful people see setbacks as feedback, as information they can use to improve their approach. When you face a setback, ask yourself these questions. What can I learn from this? What would I do differently if I could do it again? How can I use this experience to become better, stronger, more prepared for future challenges? Then make the necessary adjustments and keep moving forward. Don't let a temporary setback become a permanent defeat. Don't let a bad day become a bad week or a bad week become a bad month. Remember, progress is not always linear. Sometimes you'll move forward rapidly, sometimes you'll move forward slowly, sometimes you might even move backward temporarily. But as long as the overall trend is upward, as long as you're better this month than you were last month, you're making progress. This is what I call the momentum principle. Progress creates momentum, and momentum makes further progress easier. When you're making consistent progress toward your goals, you start to build confidence. You start to believe in yourself and your vision. You start to attract the resources and opportunities you need to accelerate your progress. But momentum works both ways. Just as positive momentum makes success easier, negative momentum makes failure more likely. If you stop making progress, if you lose focus, if you abandon your vision, it becomes harder and harder to get back on track. That's why consistency is so important. It's better to make small progress every day than to make big progress occasionally. It's the daily disciplines, the small improvements, the consistent efforts that compound over time to create extraordinary results. Think of progress as deposits in a success account. Every day you work toward your vision, you make a deposit. Every day you stay focused on your priorities, you make a deposit. Every day you take action, even small action, you make a deposit. Some days your deposits might be large, some days they might be small, but as long as you're making deposits consistently, your account balance grows. And eventually you'll have enough in your success account to achieve your vision. The key is to never let a day go by without making some kind of deposit. Even on your worst days, even when you don't feel like it, even when progress seems impossible. Do something that moves you forward. Read a page, make a phone call, take a step. Do anything that keeps the momentum alive. Because here's what I've learned. Progress is the ultimate motivator. Nothing inspires you to keep going like seeing real, measurable improvement in your life. Nothing builds confidence like knowing you're moving in the right direction. Nothing creates hope like evidence that your efforts are working. When you combine a clear vision with focused effort and consistent progress, something magical happens. You start to see that your dreams are not just possible, they're inevitable. You start to believe in yourself in a way you never have before. You start to become the person you always knew you could be. That's the power of progress. That's what happens when you turn vision and focus into measurable, consistent action over time. Now let me bring this all together for you, because this is where the real magic happens. This is where vision, focus, and progress stop being separate concepts and start working together as a unified force in your life. When you have all three ingredients working in harmony, something extraordinary occurs. Your life starts to move forward with purpose and power. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start becoming the architect of your own destiny. Think of it this way. Vision is your destination, focus is your vehicle, and progress is your fuel. You need all three to complete any meaningful journey. You can have the clearest vision in the world, but without focus, you'll never get there. You can have incredible focus, but without a vision, you'll end up somewhere you never intended to go. And you can have both vision and focus, but without consistent progress, you'll run out of motivation before you reach your destination. But when all three work together, when they compound over time, the results can be absolutely astounding. This is what I call the compound effect of success, and it's one of the most powerful forces in human achievement. Here's how it works. Every day you maintain your vision, your focus, and your progress. You're not just moving forward, you're building momentum. And momentum has a multiplying effect. The progress you make today makes tomorrow's progress easier. The focus you develop this week makes next week's focus stronger. The clarity of your vision this month makes next month's decisions simpler. I've watched this compound effect transform ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. I've seen people with average talents accomplish remarkable things simply because they understood how to integrate vision, focus, and progress into their daily life. Let me tell you about a woman I met several years ago. She was a single mother working 2 jobs, barely making ends meet, living paycheck to paycheck. But she had a vision. She wanted to become a nurse and provide a better life for her children. That vision seemed almost impossible given her circumstances. She had no money for school, no time for study, no support system to help her. But she understood something that most people don't. She understood that small, consistent actions taken over time can overcome seemingly impossible obstacles. She started by taking 1 community college course at night while working her day job. Just 1 course. She studied during her lunch breaks and after her children went to bed. She saved $5 a week from her grocery money to pay for books. It took her 6 years to complete her nursing degree, 6 years of maintaining her vision when everyone told her it was unrealistic, 6 years of staying focused when it would have been easier to give up, 6 years of making progress, 1 course at a time, 1 assignment at a time. Today, she's a registered nurse, earning 3 times what she made before. She owns her own home. Her children are thriving in school. But more importantly, she has something that can never be taken away from her. The knowledge that she can achieve anything she sets her mind to. That's the power of integration. That's what happens when vision, focus, and progress work together over time. But here's what you need to understand. This integration doesn't happen automatically. It requires intentional effort. It requires building habits that support all 3 ingredients simultaneously. The first habit is what I call vision reinforcement. You need to keep your vision alive and compelling every single day. Read your written vision every morning. Visualize your desired future regularly. Surround yourself with reminders of what you're working toward. The second habit is focus, protection. You need to guard your attention like your most valuable possession, because that's exactly what it is. Create boundaries around your focus time. Eliminate unnecessary distractions. Say no to activities that don't align with your vision. The third habit is progress tracking. You need to measure and celebrate your advancement consistently. Keep records of your achievements. Review your progress regularly. Acknowledge how far you've come, even when you still have far to go. When these habits become automatic, when they become part of who you are, rather than just what you do, your life transforms. You stop struggling and start flowing toward your goals. You stop hoping for success and start expecting it. And here's something beautiful that happens. Your success starts to impact others. When people see you living with clear vision, unwavering focus, and consistent progress, they're inspired to examine their own lives. Your example becomes a catalyst for positive change in others. This is your responsibility as much as it is your opportunity. You have an obligation to develop your potential, not just for your own benefit, but for the benefit of everyone whose life you touch. Your family, your friends, your co-workers, your community, they all benefit when you become the best version of yourself. Think about the legacy you want to leave. What do you want people to say about you when you're gone? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world? How do you want to be remembered? These questions matter because life is short. You don't have unlimited time to figure things out. You don't have forever to start pursuing your vision. Every day you delay is a day of potential progress lost forever. But here's the good news. It's never too late to start, whether you're 20 or 60, whether you're just beginning your career or nearing retirement, whether you're starting from success or starting from failure. You can begin today to integrate vision, focus, and progress into your life. The question is not whether you can do it. The question is whether you will do it. Will you take responsibility for creating the life you want? Will you stop making excuses and start making progress? Will you stop drifting and start directing your life towards something meaningful? I challenge you to make a decision right now. Decide that you're going to create a clear, compelling vision for your life. Decide that you're going to develop the focus necessary to pursue that vision consistently. Decide that you're going to track your progress and celebrate your achievements along the way. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait for more time, more money, more resources, more support. Start where you are, with what you have right now. Write down your vision tonight. Identify your most important activities tomorrow. Track your progress this week. The time for thinking about it, talking about it, and wishing for it is over. The time for action is now. Because at the end of your life, you won't be judged by your intentions, you'll be judged by your results. You won't be remembered for what you planned to do, you'll be remembered for what you actually accomplished. Make sure that when that time comes, you can look back with satisfaction, knowing that you lived with vision, focus, and progress, knowing that you made the most of the time you were given, knowing that you became everything you were capable of becoming. The choice is yours. The time is now. Your extraordinary life is waiting.